If you're cooking in the kitchen, you might as well look cute, right? So impress your guests and yourself with a very easy and chic apron you can make. And we're going to share with you a new theme that we call My Girlfriend's Breakfast Club. I'm Kim. And I'm Chris, and you're watching The DIY Dish. So we recently had the opportunity to be a columnist in a fantastic magazine called Where Women Cook. Now, you may be wondering, why would a craft and sewing show like ours be contributing to a cooking magazine? Well, we're excited to tell you why. Here at My Girlfriend's Quilt Shop, we've started a new event called My Girlfriend's Breakfast Club. Now, this event will be featured in each issue of the Where Women Cook magazine over the next year. And what's exciting about it is that not only do we get to share favorite DIY projects, such as this fun apron we're going to be making today, but we also get to share some favorite recipes too. That's right. So we invite you to pick up a copy of the fall issue of Where Women Cook and find out how to make such things such as the breakfast salad.
Delicious.
Yes, the cinnamon rolls on a stick, and of course the apron that's also being featured. It's easy to make. So you ready to get started?
Yes.
All right. Here's what you're going to need. First of all, you'll need 5 different fat quarters. Now remember, a fat quarter are those 18 by 22 inch pieces of fabric. You'll also want a package of single fold bias tape, a metal snap button, your sewing machine, needle and thread. I think you're good to go.
All right. Now, it's important to note that all of these instructions, step by step, are available as a free download at youcanmakethis.com. So be sure to check that out, because we're going to briefly go over how this is done, but very detailed instructions are found there.
That's right.
So we invite you to go check that out. All right. So the first thing you're going to want, of course, is the 5 fat quarters that Chris talked about. And what I found is the easiest thing to do is just to stack one fabric on top of the other in 5 layers. And then you're going to cut them all at the same time in these strips. So we cut these in 5-inch by 20-inch strips.
Okay.
Okay. We cut 15 of them. So you've got them stacked up, cut them all at once, and then you've got 15 in no time at all.
That's right.
All right. Now from that pile of 15, you're going to pull out, you're going to separate them, and you're going to say, okay, I want these 7 fabrics, okay? There's going to be a couple that are the same, right?
All right.
So I want these 7 fabrics to be the front panel of my apron.
Okay.
All right? So from there,
Choose any 7.
choose any 7 that you want. It doesn't matter which ones they are, you just pick. And here's what it can look like.
Okay.
So then we took this over to our sewing machine, and with a 1/4-inch seam, we sewed along the 20-inch length of each of these pieces, one next to the other. So see, you've got 7 here.
Exactly.
All right? Yep. Now, if you wanted to use more, make a longer or a wider apron, then feel free to use some of your extra strips. That's not a problem.
Okay.
But we started with 7. Okay. And then, of course, we want to press our seams to one side, just like we would do in quilting. Now, from that earlier pile of 15, you're now going to want to pull out 5 more strips, okay? This actually becomes the band of your apron.
Let's take a look here.
Yeah, instead of sewing the length of them, we actually sewed the width here, the 5 inches across.
The short end.
The short end of each side, one after the other. And again, if you're just doing 5, then you've got one of each fabric, right?
Okay.
That's going to become your band and your apron ties. Now you're going to have a few strips left, and that's for the really fun embellishment part, which we'll get to a little bit later. But that is for the frayed flower embellishment that we all love so much here. Okay, so now you've got your front panel and you've got your waistband. It's pretty simple from here. You're going to love how easy this is. Now there is the option that if you would like to have a scalloped edge like we have in the magazine, then we used a special scallop edge tool for that. But again, it is optional. You don't need it. Having a straight edge along the bottom would look just as cute. I promise. Now, by taking that single fold bias tape, just any color that coordinates with your fabrics, you're going to now sew that to 3 sides of your front panel. So you're going to sew along one side, along the bottom hem, and sew up the other side. You're going to leave the top edge undone because
Right.
that's, of course, where your ties are going to go.
Yep,
Right?
I see.
Okay. That single fold bias tape, it's nice because it's going to give you a nice clean edge and you don't have to worry about finishing it with a normal, typical hem. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Okay, so now say, for instance, we have that done, and now it's time to gather the top because we want it to fit nicely around our waist.
That's right.
So Chris has a little trick that she's going to show us on gathering fabric.
Yes, one of my
I love
favorite
it.
things to do with gathering fabric is actually using something that you find in your bathroom. So, yeah, that's right. It's dental floss.
Yep.
And to some of you out there, you might be thinking, what in the world are they telling me right now? But this is a great handy little tool to not only have in your bathroom, but also in your sewing room.
That's right.
And let me show you why. Okay, I'm going to actually break off a piece, and I'm going to put it right along the top edge of my apron.
This is where you want to gather your apron.
Right.
Okay.
And then once I've lined it up along the top edge, I'm going to just kind of hold it in place with my fingers here. And I'm going to set my sewing machine so that I have it on the widest zigzag stitch available to me. And
The widest and the longest stitch,
widest
right?
and longest, exactly. And so what's going to basically happen is that the stitch is going to go over top of the floss, and make sure to not catch the edges of the floss, okay? Okay, so now that I've gotten to the very end, this is the time that I'll take both ends of my floss. You want to help me out there, Kim?
Just slide
And you
it.
can do a slight gather.
Look how slick that is. I love that.
Isn't that great? I mean, there's no need to worry about thread breakage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oftentimes when I'm gathering something, I'll get halfway through gathering and pop, the thread goes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so this is a method I really like to use a lot when gathering my sewing projects.
Okay.
Okay.
So once you have it gathered, put it up to your waist and kind of see where it fits best.
Okay.
And you might need to loosen it or tighten it, whatever you need to do. Just make sure it fits the way that you want it to be. And then from there, it's time to add your waistband. So I would take that strip that I did earlier with those 5 bits of fabric, and I'm going to find the middle of it and just fold it right in half there. Let's see, my middle's this way. Yeah. Fold it there, and then let's go over here. And right sides together, I'm going to match up that middle with, of course, the middle of my front panel.
Right.
And then take a straight pin and align those raw edges and go ahead and pin.
All the way down.
Mm-hmm. And make a few pins there on
Yeah,
that
you bet.
side. Okay. This is really easy. Okay, so now I've got the band pinned to the apron front, and now it's the time that you can take that back over to your sewing machine
All right.
and just sew across those gathers.
Okay. Using a 1/4 inch seam allowance.
Yeah. And be sure to backstitch on this one. All right, so now it's sewn there, and you can go ahead and take a little seam ripper and go ahead and pull out those zigzag stitches and pull out the rest of that floss, and then you've got a really nicely gathered apron front. Okay,
That's right.
so we are going to fast forward. We already did that in our minds, right? And now we need to go ahead and finish off the edges of this band. So we go to the ironing board, fold it over about a 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 an inch on all sides, right there, and press, over here, and press. And then you're going to fold the 2 sides together down.
I love it.
At this point,
You're
you'll
doing it
pin
all the way around.
all the way around. And yeah, so when you get over here to where you had gathered it, this is actually going to cover that edge as well.
Very nice.
All right.
Then go
Nice
ahead and
clean
finish
seam.
off with a top stitch all the way around your band, and then you're done. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and fold that up there, Chris. Now I have to show you one of my favorite parts about this particular apron. You know, you have dinner guests come over, and the last thing you want is a messy apron, right?
Right.
And so I came up with this little idea that's just a little extra thing if you want. But I found this, what is this, waffle
It's like
cloth?
a waffle cloth,
Yeah,
yes.
waffle cloth. I cut it in about a 9 by 13 inch piece, and then I had some leftover strips from the fabric earlier.
Right.
So I decided, hey, why don't we make a little bias tape around there?
Look how cute it's all patched
Finish.
together.
Finish off the edges,
Right.
made a little loop, and now here's the real fun part about this. Of course, as you can see, we've got the flower embellishment, but did you know that behind this flower embellishment is a snap? And then I take my little loop here, and while I'm making the dinner, or whatever it is I'm baking, wipe my hands.
Yeah.
But then
you have a
the
nice looking
doorbell.
apron.
That's right. The doorbell rings, and you
Yep.
say, "Oh, well, I've got to freshen up a little bit." So go ahead and take this part off. Of course, this now gets thrown in the washing machine,
There you
and
go.
then we can put our little flower embellishment on. And people will say, "Oh my goodness, you've cooked up a storm, but you don't even look like it." To close, we want to thank today's sponsor, YouCanMakeThis.com. Be sure to visit their site to download the printable instructions of this pattern for free. And if you're looking for fabrics for these aprons, we encourage you to visit your local fabric or quilt shop, or you can purchase kits online at mygirlfriendsquiltshop.com. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you felt that creativity was served. Bye-bye.